Hey there, welcome back to my garden. If you're new here, my name is Lacey and I'm gardening here in Zone 8B, Western Oregon. And I came out this morning just to do a little bit of a planting project in one of my gardens here in the backyard. And as I was looking around, I just was kind of taken aback by some of the fall color that has really kicked in this week. We've had some really nice days. The days are clear, the sky is blue, which really increases the production of the sugar in the leaves. That combined with the cold nights that we've been having, we're getting down into the 40s at night. That makes the plants hold on to the sugars, that makes the chlorophyll shut down, and all that combines together to make the plants really start taking on their beautiful fall color. Some things are turning a little bit yellow, but it's really the purples and the red pigments that are coming out. I did some research on it this morning. I am not a scientist. It was fascinating to me to learn the terms and all the things that make all of this happen. It's hard for me to retain the terms though, that anthocyanins, I think it is, the pigments that come out that not all plants have, but those that do, it really brings on the red and the purple hues, and it makes the plants absolutely gorgeous, standing out for sure this time of the year. So it is early October, and I just wanted to walk you guys around and show you some of those plants that maybe you didn't realize have a beautiful color come fall. They don't always have as brilliant of a color every year. You know, it depends on the temperatures, the weather, the moisture that's in the air and in the ground. But this year, these plants are definitely standing out to me. So let's just take a quick walk around. I want to point these plants out to you, and then we will get to the planting project. Okay, of course I have to start right here with the burning bush. It's really taking on its fall color right now. Absolutely gorgeous, really more of a pinky red to me than just a vibrant red, and I absolutely love it. Like I've said before, I don't mind just having plants that are primarily green, you know, the rest of the season if they have such a gorgeous show come fall. So if I pull this way across the back lawn, I have another one also right here, and I hope that with the overcast skies these colors are showing up adequately because they're very beautiful. So this one is another, these are compact burning bushes, so they actually don't really get that huge. I've had this one in the ground for, I don't even know, maybe 10 years, and it's just kind of stayed this size. It doesn't put on a tremendous amount of growth every year, which I appreciate, but it's really stately, you know, during the rest of the season, just very green and kind of standard, but a nice spot for your eyes to rest. And then it takes on this gorgeous color in the fall. And right next to it is an amazing maple. And this is where I really struggle because I don't remember if this is the October Glory. I'm pretty sure it's the October Glory. And then on the other side of my yard is the Autumn Blaze. Either way, I mean, if you just look up the stats on any maple, if you're considering planting it, just look at the color that it's going to take and the shape that it's going to take, and you can't really go wrong. So this one has been actually turning for several weeks now, and it's holding on to its leaves because we haven't had a ton of rain or wind or anything like that, which is really what ends up taking our leaves off of our trees here in Western Oregon. So I've really been able to just enjoy this tree a tremendous amount. This one should actually get pretty large to the point that it could be actually touching the fir tree behind it. But this has been in the ground for a really long time. It's been taking its time growing, and that's fine by me. But the color is absolutely beautiful. It's very enjoyable to look at this time of the year. So I also wanted to show you guys this spirea that I just transplanted over here. Some of this color may be being encouraged by being stressed a little bit because I did just transplant it in, but this is a magic carpet spirea, and just look at this color. This is one of the things about spirea that I feel sad for people that they just discount it, that they just don't really consider putting it in their gardens. It's a very versatile plant. It comes out early with its leaves in the spring, and they're beautifully colored. They're, you know, depending on the spirea variety that you have, but for the most part, they come out with beautiful spring color, and then they go to their green in the summer, and then they bloom, and then most of mine come on with beautiful fall color. So you can see this one with the burgundies coming on and the reds in there and some of the bright orange. It's just absolutely beautiful, and there's not much else right here that is turning a fall color, so I love that right here. It's also worth mentioning too that a lot of times plants that are red or burgundy throughout the regular growing season take on an even more beautiful vibrant red color come fall, just because of the chlorophyll that's in there stopping, you know, its production, and so it just lets through the pigments of the red and the purples really come through even more beautifully. So this barberry here is just practically glowing red. I just love it. The berries are even brighter. Now here in Western Oregon, I always have to mention, I feel like that these are not invasive here. We don't have a problem with barberries being invasive, so we can grow them. We can grow them just fine, and I'm grateful for that. I have a lot of them in my gardens, and they're kind of a staple. So let's come over here and take a look at the color that comes onto the hydrangeas. These have always been white all throughout the rest of the season of when they've been blooming, but now as the temperatures are dipping, they're really taking on this beautiful pink color. And that is just so beautiful to see. I love seeing the transition between the colors of these, that these ones actually take on the pink color rather than just kind of getting the papery brown like some of my other hydrangeas do. So I don't remember the variety of this one because I know that I got it at just our local pharmacy. They have plants out for sale in front of it, and they were on sale for very inexpensively. I have 3 of them coming around this garden, and I don't know the variety, unfortunately, but I do know that this is typical of a lot of the hydrangeas, these panicle hydrangeas like this. Like Pinky Winky is one of them that is very similar to this, but this color is absolutely beautiful and I love it. So coming over here, it's hard to tell. These Japanese maples are starting to take on their color. Maybe if I come over here, they'll definitely get more vibrant, but they start to really turn at the tips where they're getting more of the sunlight because that's where they're soaking in the sugars, and then changing all throughout. As those ones start to drop off, the rest of them will become a bit more vibrant. So we'll have to look at that at another time once those have taken on more of their fall color. But from up in the house, when I'm looking down on this tree, I can definitely see the change starting to happen. So down here is another hydrangea that's starting to take on a little hue of the pink. This is a little lime, and these ones, as you can see, these are ones that will typically the leaves will just turn yellow. They won't come on with a pretty fall color, but the blooms do, and that's great. So on this side, there's another very beautiful, very vibrant barberry that is absolutely, I think I've showed this to you guys several times. This is the Rosy Glow, and that color, it just can't really be beat. And I have to mention too, fall color for me in the garden means that my lawn is starting to turn green again, which is really exciting. We don't water our lawns. We don't have irrigation for them. So this is a cold season grass. I don't know the variety, but during the summer when we don't water it, it turns very brown and is pretty unfortunate. But this time of the year, as we start to get some moisture, it comes back to being green, and that is very exciting. So my Autumn Brilliant Serviceberry has not yet started taking on its fall color. That is to come, and I'm excited about that. But let's come down here. And this isn't necessarily fall color, but I feel like I just really wanted to mention to you guys this garden bed here. I actually started putting in this spring. This was not here at all this spring. I laid down the cardboard in April, and it was around the dogwood that's right there. If you can see, right here is a dogwood. That one was already planted in, but I laid down the cardboard, and then I put on some compost, some garden soil, some mulch on top of that, and I just let it sit for several months before I started planting things in. And so this garden bed is well less than a year old. It's April. It's been in the ground for 6 months, actually. Most of these plants way less than that. So that is just amazing to me. I'm absolutely loving these Beyond Pink Caryopteris. They're a fall show off for sure. The foliage isn't taking on any specific, amazing fall color, but the blooms obviously are doing more than enough for the fall garden. That's so pretty. I'm really enjoying that. And then of course, just plants that don't even necessarily need to take on a fall color, like that butterfly bush back there. That's a variegated one. This, as I was saying, this dogwood has been in here for a little over a year now, and it's starting to take on its fall color. I'll be interested to see what it does because it was so vibrant when I planted it in. That's why I bought it. I bought it last fall and planted it out here because it was so gorgeous. This is a neon burst. It was absolutely beautiful. But being as this is its first full year actually being in the garden, I'm curious to see what it'll do. So it's starting to take on a little bit of color, but it's not as vibrant as it was. So we'll see what that one does. But regardless, it's still pretty there next to the other plants that have been in this garden for such a short amount of time. It's amazing to me that this was not even here at all last year at this time. Okay, so then looking over here, you know, I kind of appreciate the fact that not everything does take on a fall color, because if you can imagine this whole garden bed being this bright pink color that this spirea is taking on, it would be a little overwhelming. So I think it's nice that some do and some don't take on fall color, but if you look at this one, it's really taking on the pink colors, and it'll just be kind of a muddling of the pink and then lighter pinks and then some yellow, some green, and it's just eye-catching. It's just the whole thing is like a big color of bloom, but it is just the leaves, and I love that. It's next to a caryopteris that's pretty much done blooming at this point, next to a dogwood, and then another just kind of a rich burgundy barberry right there on the corner. So let's come this way. We have another barberry that's taking on its beautiful color. This is a crimson pygmy, and then up above that is another rosy glow that's just getting absolutely even more vibrant this time of the year. So coming this way again, as you scan through, you can see the maple through there, really eye-catching, but you know, again, I appreciate that not everything takes on a color. We just get lots of variation in colors of the greens and the yellows and the pinks and the purples and the vibrant reds. So pretty. Okay, we're in the backyard now, and I can't really talk about beautiful fall color without talking about the beautyberry. So this is a calicarpa. This is just the basic variety of the beautyberry, but this is the time when this plant is doing its thing that we actually probably planted for. Generally, we just, you know, see the green leaves of this plant, and this one's actually kind of interestingly formed. It's just kind of really reaching out, a little bit spindly, but I was noticing this morning from my back window, I could just really see the purple berries standing out. And I don't really mind the fact that it's so sparse on leaves and kind of growing like this, because it just makes the berries stand out even more. So again, there's some different varieties of this that you can get now. I have one in the front lower garden that is kind of more of a purpley leaf, but this is just its second year, well, its first full year in the garden, and so it's not doing too much. I'll have to keep an eye on that one and see if it's producing berries yet, but this one really caught my eye, and I think it's a really fun one to have in the garden, especially this time of the year. I wanted to show you guys too, on this Seven Suns tree, you can see the little, I think those are the calyxes that hold the flowers on. They're more interesting than the flower even is. The flower is just a little white bloom, and the pollinators do like it. They, you know, obviously lose interest once it's just the calyx, but they stand out so beautifully against the green leaves, and they just make the interest of this tree go on and on. And I've mentioned to you guys before, I would definitely prefer for this tree to be a little bit more full. It's a little bit underwhelming. At this point, it hasn't been in the ground for too long. So obviously, you know, it could take time for it to really become impressive, but just the little red calyxes that we're holding on the blooms really add to the interest of this tree. And of course the bark on it is really cool too. It kind of brings in some winter interest once it loses all of its leaves and all that stuff. But as of right now, I don't know. It's pretty. I like it here. It's a nice kind of smallish tree, but this is really when I find this tree pretty cool with the pretty colored calyxes that we're holding on the white blooms. So as we scan this way, looking through the backyard, this garden just really takes on fall interest to me. The colors, especially of the spirea, really start to come out. I hope it's coming through on camera, because as much as I'm not a huge fan of orange, the orangish, reddish, pinkish color that these spireas take on, I just think is absolutely brilliant. Again, they're such a workhorse in the garden, and I think people just kind of overlook them all too much because they are kind of just, they're pretty standard. You see a lot of times that they're used in parking lots and things like that, but I mean, this is why they just have so much to offer in the garden. So any of these plants here that you see that are taking on the pinkish orange, those are spirea. I have several of them back here just because they are so dependable. I've mentioned this one before. This is the Painted Lady. Has so much interest just in the leaves. I mean, honestly, the The blooms are sweet. There are a few blooms actually on it right now, but the blooms are definitely not the star of the show as far as this shrub goes. It's definitely the foliage, as I kind of feel like it is with the spirea a lot of the year. So you can see there's a viburnum that's starting to drop its leaves. It's kind of sad, but it did have a very beautiful color that it took on. But here is another spirea right here. It's just so incredibly beautiful. This even has some burgundy in there. You can see that. It has just the kind of bright pink, the kind of deeper reds, and obviously some little bit of yellow and still a little bit of green. But I mean, it's almost as vibrant as the burning bush. And this is definitely not something I ever hear people talking about as far as spirea go, the fall color. So I think it's definitely a reason to add spirea into the garden. So this back area right here wouldn't be the same without those shrubs. I really enjoy them all season long, especially right now in the fall. All right, so that's just a little walk around the garden, just looking at some of the things that are taking on some pretty fall color. And I'd love to hear from you guys. What is your garden doing right now in the fall? Is it starting to change color? What plants do you depend on for fall color? If any, which ones are your favorites that you look forward to seeing start to change color in the fall? I like to hear that information from people. So anyway, let's move on to the planting portion of this video. All right, we're gonna be working here in this little garden, just in our back lawn. This is right next to our path that leads from our back patio. It's just kind of plopped right here in the back lawn, which is not taking on any green yet. I keep asking my husband, what should we do with this back lawn? What should we do to fix it? But you know, like you see there with teak, it's difficult when you have dogs. I don't know. I'd like to tear up the whole thing, reseed it, all that stuff, but that would be really hard to keep the 3 border collies off of it if we were to do that. So anyways, back to the garden. So yeah, this is just a little space. Earlier this year, we put these carrots in here. They're just in containers. See, they're just in terracotta pots, and they're doing okay. This one's doing better than the others. This one has some green in it still, but for the most part it's very browned out. So I'd like to move these pots out of this area, and I'm going to actually plant in some grasses. So this is a Burgundy Bunny. Sweet little grass. I know one of you guys was telling me that you had planted some of these into one of your gardens, and so I started looking for it because you had mentioned that it's a grass that stays actually a little bit smaller. So let me see. Here's the tag for it. So it says just 12 to 16 inches, likes full sun, miniature narrow green leaves that turn red in the fall. So I guess that's another, feature that why grasses start to turn as they start to lose their ability to produce the chlorophyll, and so the other pigments start to take on in the grass, which is really fun. Just the little small tufted cream flower plumes in the late summer, which you can see on these guys right here. So I just really wanted a small grass in this space. I didn't want anything obviously that's going to get huge because there's not room for it. These carrots would just stay too low if I was to plant them into the ground. Obviously wanted something that would come up over the lavender and be able to be seen there. So I think these will be a really good option. So we'll put those 3 in there, and then over here on this side, this area is a little bit sad. It's been kind of hard to keep things going on this side. Not really sure why. Probably a water issue. Probably could add in a little bit more water, but I have these heuchera that we took out of the container on the back patio the other day that I might put into this area. But primarily what I'm going to do is put in this absolutely beautiful Hosta. This is one of the Proven Winners Hostas. It's in the Shadowland series. So let me show you the tag for this one. So this one says you see 17 inches. That's the height. It can get 3 feet wide, according to what I was looking at online. And I kind of was telling myself, as far as hostas go, that I didn't really want to purchase any more that just look standard. So many of the hostas, they look so similar. I just really wanted to, if I was planting more hostas, I wanted to look for ones that had a little bit, a little bit different look to them. And this one definitely does. I love the curviness of the leaves. I think that just adds so much interest. And of course the variegation of color is beautiful. And the size of this one was really interesting to me too, because I'm thinking that it could possibly just fill in this whole area. It's a little bit dark over here, a little bit too much shade for these Nepeta to really do their thing. So if I ended up having really good success with this hosta, it could fill in this space because it will get a lot of shade from both the butterfly bush right there and then obviously the ornamental plum that's over it. So I think it'll be really happy here. I'll probably have to, well, I don't know if I'll have to put in another emitter because there's a little one right here that actually puts off a little bit of a spray, like a little sprinkler spray. So I think it should be good on moisture, but I just want to plant in, I think I did actually have, yeah, I had a hosta right here. I don't know exactly what happened to that one, but anyway, I think this will be a fun one to try. We'll see. But I was really drawn, like I said, to the structure of the leaves especially, and the color, the variation, all that stuff. So I thought that would be really beautiful to add into this kind of shady spot, and we will see how it does. All right, so I'm just going to dig in the holes. I'm going to see how easy it is to dig. I do have some planting mix that I could mix into the soil as I'm planting these guys. I'll determine that once I get digging to see how the soil is looking underneath the mulch. They fit really well on my hands. They're not loose at all, so I feel like I don't even have gloves on at all. But anyway, had to go change those really quick. I think that those are a sweet little addition there to this spot, and I think that they'll be a better option than putting the carex in the ground because, like I said, these will get a little bit higher, and I like to be able to see, hope you can see those, the little plumes up on the top of the little blooms that are coming off of the tops of the grasses. And then you can also see with the little burgundy coloring in the leaves that kind of go along right over here with the Concord barberry. So I'm excited to see what these do here. I just feel like this spot obviously really benefited from having some sort of a grassy texture in here. I did have previously some of the Hamlin, I think is how you pronounce it, that type of grass, and it did okay for a little bit and then it dwindled out. I don't know if it was because of the soil was being too hard and it couldn't get adequate water. I'm not really sure. So because of that possibility, I did use some of this planting compost Just got this at our local hardware store. Never used it before, but you know, I figured it couldn't hurt by just adding some to the top of the bed and then mixing it in as I plant it into the native soil. So I also did kind of use it a little bit as a top dress, which it says is ideal for that as well. So hopefully that helps the soil, helps the drainage, hopefully helps it to be a little bit more nutrient dense, which I think the grass and pretty much anything would benefit from. So yeah, glad to have these little burgundy bunnies in the ground here, and I'm excited to see what they do. And I do like the contrast too of the color of the blades of grass with the lavender that is right next to it. So now we're going to move over to the other side and we're going to get the hosta in the ground, and I think I'll continue to use some of this compost just to amend the bed a little bit. I think a little bit will go a long way in this spot. So yeah, let's get over there and get that one in the ground. Really like the addition of both of these here. This hosta is just a beacon, isn't it? It's just so bright, and especially contrasting with the compost that I just lightly top dressed this area with. I was thinking about bringing up a couple more bags and top dressing this entire bed, but I think I'll wait until the tree above it actually loses all of its leaves, because that's going to make a mess here very shortly. So figured it would look nicer if I just waited until it lost all of its leaves. But I just think that hosta is absolutely gorgeous there. I love the texture of it too. I think it'll be absolutely beautiful contrasting with the kind of bluish small foliage of the nepeta as that comes on. Like I said, this nepeta doesn't do great here because it just doesn't get enough sun, but it does push foliage and it does bloom. So I think that'll be really pretty next to that hosta. And then this little heuchera, I'm pretty sure I had 2 heuchera in that container that was waiting, you know, that I took out of the pots that are over there on the patio. I'm pretty sure I had 2, and I saw this dog right here. This is Teak. I saw him nosing around in it, and I wonder if he maybe took one out and went and played with it somewhere. Anyway, I had 1 in there, and I think that is a good spot for it. Hopefully it'll do well with the amount of sun that it gets. It doesn't really want much sun, so hopefully this sedum here, I don't know. Sedum obviously won't put on much protection until later in the summer as it gets to its full height, but we'll see. We'll see how that one does. For the time being, it's a good spot for that one to be. So here's another look from this direction of the grasses that we put in. super sweet. I hope these guys do well there. I think that they're a nice addition to that spot. That grassy texture is always welcome in my gardens. I love having that touch here and there throughout. Before I sign off, I wanted to show you guys too another sweet benefit of fall. When the new growth comes on from plants that came on early on in spring and then got cut back, this is a Jacob's ladder that usually gets powdery mildew, so I usually cut it back. There's one right there and there's one right there, but I just noticed this is all new growth that it's just pushing out right now in fall, and it's just fun. It feels like it's a little bit of spring all over again. So thankfully we're wrapping this project up just in time. I see some very menacing clouds coming and the rain is starting to fall. So we finished just in time with this project. I'm gonna head inside now and, I don't know, bake something or something fall-ish, I'm not sure. But anyway, thank you guys for hanging out with me. Thanks for walking around my garden with me and looking at some of the pretty fall things that are changing color and just really brightening up the garden, making this time of the year really, really special. And also for hanging out with me while I got these plants in the ground. I think they were wonderful additions and I'm excited to see what they do in this bed. So hope you guys are having a fantastic day. We will see you in the next video. Bye.